headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Kerry is in Rotherham on the other issue we've been talking about. Kerry, afternoon to you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. Yeah, fire away.
Well, me and my son are Catholic. He was raised Catholic. He had a Catholic education.
Yep.
And at 15, he came out as gay, which was no surprise. I predicted that when he was 9.
Okay.
So that wasn't a surprise. He just turned 21 now, and he recently came out as trans. But he's not trans as in a woman trapped in a man's body. He's trans as in non-binary, which obviously is a very new thing. It's not something we'd really heard of before.
Yeah. What does that mean exactly?
It doesn't feel male or female. Now, I really struggled with this, although I have done some reading on it now to try and understand it, because obviously, this is what it's telling me he is.
But does that mean, I mean, I can't obviously speak for your son, who I'm sure you love to bits, like any mother, but when somebody says, does that mean that as a gay man, he doesn't feel like he's a woman, but he doesn't feel particularly like a man? I mean, is that remarkable, though? It's just that we've just given it a name. I mean, from everything you've just told me about him...
understand. We have had some very heated conversations about it. He's changed his name, which really upset me, because I gave him his name.
So he's got a female name now?
Well, it's a unisex name.
Right, okay.
But when I saw that conversion therapy, I was absolutely horrified. I mean, we are Catholic, but...
You wouldn't want that kind of caper for your son?
God, no. I believe God loves everybody, whatever they are. That is absolutely barbaric. I'm not saying I understand what the son's going through, but I'm trying to understand it, and I have said, we keep talking about it. We're not kind of bringing the shutters down. We will keep talking about it until I understand it.
So is he still... He's still gay?
Well, he says he's bisexual now.
Right. So he likes girls as well as boys?
It would seem, but his last two other halves, as I call it, they were both trans. He had 2 trans relationships who were, they had female genitalia, but were wanting to transgress to be male.
Right, so they were male anatomically, but they dressed as females?
No, they were female anatomically, but dressed as male.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah. It's very difficult to get your head around, but when it's your child, you have to try and find a way.
Yeah,
I can.
I have huge sympathy with that situation, because I can't. When you're on the sidelines and situations happen in life that you don't have any experience of, we all have these big opinions, don't we? What we think we'd do or think we'd say, and then suddenly something happens to you, and you're forced to genuinely make decisions and come up with opinions and responses.
People, well, what does that mean? What this, what that? Of course I'm going to defend him. He's my son.
Of course you are.
It is difficult to understand, but I will keep trying to understand it, because he's my child. I wouldn't dream of putting him through conversion therapy.
Do you think, and I say this not to be offensive at all, Kerry, well, why would I? But is there a bit of you that thinks he's... Well, the only word I can really think of is he's confused.
Say that to him, and it was very hurt when I said it.
I'm sure he was, because that makes it sound like he doesn't know what he's doing. But, I mean, you've described several scenarios that he is kind of experiencing. He hasn't settled on one thing.
Well, the way we've left it at the moment is, because he's only just started uni this year, and he's kind of finding himself a little bit. So I've said, we'll just leave it as it is while you do your degree, and then we'll revisit the issue in a few years.
Does he dress as a man or a woman?
He dresses male, he looks male. This is why I find it so difficult. To me, he's completely male.
But he's saying he's female, but non-binary.
Not female. It's not male or female.
Right,
It doesn't feel either. Now, there is a lot of things. When I came to look on YouTube, there's loads of videos for parents.
The fact you've had to go through all of that, I can understand how troubling that must have been, because it's an area you don't know anything about.
Yeah, because I know nothing about it at all. It's a new thing, this non-binary.
I just wonder whether, Kerry, there are some people who don't feel particularly... I mean, if somebody says to you, do you feel like a man? If somebody asked me that question now, well, I think I do. But then if I was... I don't know, have any other experience, really. But if I continually ask myself that question over and over again, I might lose track of what is a man? What am I supposed to feel? I don't feel like a woman.
During lockdown, the person he was dating at the time moved in with us, and they had female genitalia but was transgressing to male, and they was in that bedroom 24/7 for months during lockdown, which obviously impacts anything that you think.
Yeah, it's like when you're in a commune with somebody, you kind of naturally you're going to take information away from that, and that may well be what has happened. Listen, Kerry, I wish you all the luck in the world. The great thing is you sound like a lovely, caring mum, and ultimately, regardless of anything that happens, you want to look after your son. He's your beautiful boy, after all, whatever happens. But I can see, thank you to Kerry, I can see that, when somebody, the non-binary thing is the one area, I think, of this debate that has... So it's a lot of the discussions about the trans issues, I think, have been diluted, eradicated in some respects, dismissed in the worst cases because of the whole non-binary issue and everything that goes with it, with anyone, anywhere being able to fully define its, and I say this not as a pejorative, but its legitimacy in whether it's that be psychological, biological, whatever you want it to be. As far as I know, I don't think there's any kind of settled science in that area. I stand to be corrected, I promise you. I'm asking these questions, not stating them as facts, which I think a lot of us are. And what seems to have happened, and we get into, there's 100 genders out there, and that in turn has almost shot the whole discussion about trans issues, which was never frankly much of a discussion. It was just like, since I've been alive, there have been some people who are trans. And then literally out of nowhere, along came 100 genders and a thing called non-binary. Wow. And I think the whole trans issue has kind of got locked into that. And maybe those things were always there. This is the usual caveat. They were always there. We never talked about them, etc. But on the non-binary, if the crudest sense of explanation for non-binary is not feeling particularly male or female, well, I'm a bloke, so I don't feel particularly female. But if you were to sit me in a room and say, think for 24 hours how male you feel, I don't really know what that is. Well, so I can kind of see if somebody is in a different place, they might go, well, am I a bloke? I think I'm a bloke. So I'm still straight. Okay, because my sexuality, we are told, is nothing connected to gender. I've never quite understood how the whole gay attraction thing works, if that is the case, but let's park that for a second. So could I therefore come out of any, most people who are born male or female would not be able to understand whether they felt particularly the other sex. So I don't feel like a woman. But do I feel like a man? I think I feel like a man. Think about it hard enough. Think about it hard enough if I'm in the wrong place, emotionally or otherwise, then I might come to the conclusion that I'm non-binary. Right? So that becomes a thing. That puts me as a protected group. And in the worst scenario, which is the accusation that is aimed at this, it gives me oppression points. So I become part of a group. There's gay people, there's trans people, and I'm one of the non-binaries. And I will never forget taking the call from the guy that said that a third of people at his university year were non-binary. A third. Statistically impossible. So you can't not factor that in and stories like that to this and ask the question, what the hell is going on? That's reasonable, right?
Good talk.
Hot talk. Bold talk. Talk radio.
Listen on your smart speaker.
Watch it live on your smart TV.
The world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.